Now, listen, man, I'm not an expert on the Taliban, not even for a second. I do know this. They gave cover, safe harbor. They aided and abetted al-Qaeda in planning the attack on 3,000 civilians who died that day. So al-Qaeda, for me, and the Taliban were one and the same. Are they really one and the same? No. But for me, they were one and the same. That's why, and you'll recall this, Kerry, I think last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was, I asked Jeff Adicott, our expert usually on terrorism law, why are we including the Taliban and the government in Afghanistan at all? I asked that question. I thought it was a decent question. The Taliban, they were also the bad guys. We equated them with al-Qaeda, whether they were al-Qaeda or not. So my question I thought was valid. Why would we ever say we have to form the government and include the Taliban? And the answer was, well, there are different factions and different warlords in different areas, and it's all territorial, and the Taliban is embedded there, and you have to allow them to be this, that, and the other. No, I see. I'm more for the guy, who was his name, Omar. I was more for the leader of the Taliban to be arrested and tried and thrown in prison forever or killed, and the rest of the Taliban being told, if you ever show your faces again, we'll wipe you off the map too. And then not build some sort of a representative republic like we have here, but allow for the people of Afghanistan to decide how they want to be ruled, and then get the hell out. I didn't want us to be there for 20 years. Never from the beginning. I want us to go in there, get rid of al-Qaeda, get rid of the Taliban, and say, ha, kiss my ass, we're out of here. And then help them to have a government that made sense for them, whether it be religiously or geographically or topographically, whatever. Their government should have been one that the people of Afghanistan desired. I'm not saying push freedom and liberty on them. I don't think that place can take freedom and liberty. It's like in the Stone Ages compared to how the modern planet is. So having said that, we somehow included the Taliban. And this even, look, I think President Trump did a marvelous job, but I didn't get why we were dealing with the Taliban. And then, after it was explained to me, well, you really can't separate the Taliban from Afghanistan, but you can get assurances from them. I'm like, okay, get the assurances. And the assurances were, and Trump originally said, we'll be out by May 1st. And then he said, well, we're not going to give it a definitive date. And then for some reason, Joe Biden thought, August made sense right before the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Our getting out, there were many stipulations, and I've seen Mike Pompeo talk about this, and we'll have him on soon as well, and I hope to talk to President Trump very soon too. The stipulations were you will give safe avenues, safe free ways for our people to get out. You won't harm one hair on one person's head. You're gonna do this peacefully, and we're going to leave the country, and then you guys form the government that the people want. Well, Trump is no longer in office because Trump proved over and over, like with Syria, if you go against your deal with me, or if you go against what the international law says, or if you go against promises made, we will bomb you, which is what we should have done here. So we've got a situation where Biden is now in office, and you see Biden until about Thursday-ish, and then he goes to Camp David until like Monday-ish. I think he plays some Mario Kart there with the grandkids, and he doesn't seem to know even where he is half the time. He couldn't find his way back to the White House the other day. He decides that we're still going to do it. We're going to telegraph it, tell them exactly what date it's going to be, and we won't hold them to the assurances they gave to Pompeo and to Trump. That's fact. We're not going to hold them to it. So once they started the mayhem and people started dying and the violence started happening in Afghanistan, all the people that helped us for all these years are now going to be lined up against the wall and die or run over by a tank or shot in the face. It's going to happen, and it's already happening. People are trying to get out of there by jumping on planes and falling out of the planes once they take off and dying. This is how dire it is. And Biden walks out today and decides, well, everything's fine. It's exactly as planned, and I'll take the criticism, and I wanted to bring the boys home. I wanted to bring the boys home, too, a long time ago. I think mission accomplished, you bring them home. Kill al-Qaeda, you bring them home. Get bin Laden, bring them home. There were plenty of opportunities to bring them home, and we should have brought them home because we're not going to make it Charlotte, North Carolina. That's not going to happen. It's going to continue to be Afghanistan, which is screwed up, dude. It is not a good place to live. I mean, anything that we've gotten out of there, we should know this. It is not modern planet Earth. Let them be what they're going to be. Let them do what they're going to do. We can't, if you wanted to make it little America, make it a sheet of glass and start all over. You didn't do that. But the idea that somehow he stands behind this botched plan to get out of Afghanistan and it's hunky-dory, everything's fine, and I'll take the criticism. He's not taking squat. What he did was he walked out, read some teleprompter script that was written by any number of people, probably Obama, probably Harris, probably fill in the blank, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, whomever. They wrote this for him. He read it, turned around and walked away, didn't take one question, and everybody in the left media is kissing his ass like he just did something remarkable. He didn't. There are people dying there, some of them Americans. We should have been out of there a long time ago. I blame Bush. I blame Obama. I blame Trump to an extent to include the Taliban, although I think the assurances he got he would have upheld had he still been the president. And now this guy is just a shell. He's being mocked by our allies around the world, not just by people like me. So before we do our break, I want your thoughts on Afghanistan, what we're seeing. We're all seeing the harrowing video. We're all seeing the horrible things going on there. And, Carrie, if you don't mind, before we hit the break, but whatever sort of wrap-up you have, let's do a wrap of what we know so far. But I definitely want to hear from people on this because I am so sick and tired of people playing politics on this when the reality is I'm a conservative guy. I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a guy who voted for Trump. I'd voted for him twice. But I'm also a guy who wanted us out of Afghanistan about a year into the theater for the simple reason that we went there for a plan. Kill al-Qaeda, stop the Taliban, get the hell out. And we didn't for some reason. And one wonders, was this an economic reason? Is there really this war machinery that's so important economically that